Hello and welcome to the All the Pies YouTube channel. My name's Kev. That's Davy. I've still got no teeth, but I didn't care because we're joining you after an absolute mauling of the Blades. 8-0. Newcastle won yesterday. 8-0. I'm double excited. Davy's excited. Let's get straight into it.
God, he scored so many goals.
Oh, sorry, Davy. I was just reading me book there. Got sent it by some woman from Sheffield. So it was an interesting read. Yeah, she said she managed to read the full thing yesterday. It was good. Aye, it's not too
Champion.
bad. How are you doing, you read?
All right, I was just got this to say. I kind of bloody. Can we edit this bit? Sorry.
No, it's staying in, Davy.
Oh man.
Sorry, that was it. You had your chance. Bit of dueling banjos.
Can we do it again? It'd be good
Nah,
if. No, how?
Because it's very.
I'm not a band.
Normally, I would do it
Anyway.
again, Davy. Right? But
Hey,
just
man.
because it's in reference to me missing teeth, you had your shot.
and I bloody. It's a couple of notes, and I don't know how the hell. Anyway.
How you?
It's because I'm up hate after the yesterday, man. It's mad. What happened?
It was mad. Oh, I know. Like, well, I mean, my weekend has been canny actually. So went out to see a band on Saturday night with our lass, and everyone kept pointing out my teeth, and I was saying, "Oh, I knew this was a bad idea. I told them we should just stay in the house till it gets sorted out." And I was like, well, it is what it is. But the next day I couldn't care less because it was just a day to remember. I was a bit hungover, and it just took all any blues that I had away. It was fantastic.
Well,
How's your weekend been?
We were down in Warsaw again to see the band, and he's grown already. You know, it's just bizarre. Couple of days and he looks different already. Drove back on Saturday night. Up yesterday for my father's memorial, talking to his old ex-Marine pals and stuff like that, and meeting people I've never met before. So that was a bit strange and surreal. It's a long story, but we won't go there. And then we're like thinking, we've got to go to match. And I had checked at the place that we were at, and they didn't have it on. So I was saying to our lass, we've got to keep an eye on the time. We've got to get away. So we left it like as late as we could, and managed to get somewhere to watch the match. And I wasn't prepared really. I was just like, right, let's get, because everything that's been going on. And then they started quite well.
Yeah. Well,
thought,
what we'll do, Davey? It's always bad luck.
Oh, sorry.
Always bad luck.
I'm just new to it.
It's all right. It's all right. But
I'm not ready.
I'm a superstitious man, and I wasn't ready, Davey. I wasn't ready.
Sorry,
but I'm feeling ready now. Are you feeling ready?
I think I might be.
You're ready. You seem ready.
Are
you ready?
Okay, let's go.
It's his only part, man. He'll
man.
Good if he doesn't get his
I'm
airtime.
spoiling everything today, man. I'm all over the shop.
Right. No, but you were going on to say, Davey, because I mean, what a day it was. I'm sure everybody has probably watched over those 8 goals so many times. But you were going to go on to say something I was about to sort of say as well, and agree with that they did start all right, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I mean, we had said the other day that it was one of those, we both predicted a win. I got the right team, by the way.
You did, aye.
And then Longstaff scored, and I thought, I've got Longstaff to score. And I was like, I had a bet on this. But you could have picked just about anybody for a score, couldn't you? But anyway, I was just all over the shop emotionally and that, so I wasn't prepared for it. And as it started, I thought, oh, we had said it could be really difficult. They'll come out early doors, go for it, and if they get a goal, then it could be a different game. And we both said we thought they'd be difficult to break down the way that they've played against the teams like Man City, and a couple of games they've had, and there was a couple of little moments where they got the ball down the wing. I think it was Botman came forward very slightly, and Byrne was very slightly out of position, and the ball came over, and because of that, Trippier had to come across to cover, and the guy was unmarked, and I thought, oh, I don't believe it, and it was an awful shot. And then he had another chance a couple of minutes later, and it was even worse. And I thought, we kind of keep doing this, but then I wasn't really that concerned, to be honest, because when we did have the ball, I thought we passed it quite well, and Wilson had 2 early chances as well.
He did well. I mean, the first 10 minutes, I was a little bit like, oh, here we go. This could be a bit of a difficult game. And you see, we passed it well. There was a couple of sloppy passes in the middle that got us a little bit frustrated. And I didn't think the build-up play was very quick. I thought it was a little bit sideways, and we weren't getting forward quick enough. But that is the top and bottom of any frustrations I had for that evening. Because, I mean, it's horrible because, we're getting a player that's getting injured, and I felt so bad for Harvey Barnes.
Well, that was the thing. Yeah, when Wilson had one of his chances, I saw him running in, and I thought, oh, is he? And then he just stopped. And I thought his hamstring's gone. And he stayed on a couple of minutes. And I thought, why did he stay on? So hopefully it's not too bad, but hamstring is going to be out for a while, But
see, I was watching Craig Hope, and he'd mentioned his toe. But whether something else has came out since I watched that, I'm not sure. But by all means, I think it's going to be a little bit of a time on the sideline. And I felt really bad for him. I felt it was written all over his face that he was gutted. And sometimes you look at a player, and although they're able to walk off, you can tell by the face where they think themselves, I've getting a decent knock there. Like,
yeah, it was that run that he made as Wilson went in, and I thought, oh, he's stopped, his hamstring's gone. But it might be something else, it's just what I saw. But I thought, oh, here we go. But then, of course, bringing Gordon on, he was going to give 100%, and he changed the game completely. He was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
He completely changed the game, and he got stuck into them straight away. And yeah, I guess that was the silver lining to Harvey Barnes picking up that knock, was he came on and he absolutely took that game away from them from the instant he came on. I mean, we'll have a little go. We'll have a little talk through the goals, but the first goal from Longstaff, he was heavily involved in that as well. Now it's been a little bit contentious, the fallout from this goal. I'll have my little say on it first, and then you can have your say on it. But for me, from a sporting perspective, when I look at that goal, when he, first of all, the ball didn't cross the line. Didn't cross the line. And he didn't keep it in with his hand. If anything, he knocked it towards the line with his hand. But the ruling says, they've only just brought this rule in, that if you accidentally handball it and you don't score the goal stands, as long as it was an accidental handball. Now, when I look at that as an isolated incident, I do feel a little bit harsh towards Sheffield United, because although it was an accidental handball, it really helped set up the goal for Longstaff to go in. So if I was a Sheffield United fan, I'd probably feel a little bit hard done by. But by the letter of the law, the goal should have stand.
Well, it definitely wasn't deliberate handball, which is the main point of it. And he didn't score the goal. So for me, stuff them.
Aye.
We've had so many like that against us, different rules, and they say, oh, by the letter of the law, he's done this and he's done that. I didn't celebrate because I thought it had gone out. I didn't notice at first that it had touched his hand. And then when you saw it again, I thought, oh, are they going to give it for handball as well? And you saw him, and Longstaff was asking him, in slow motion. It was weird watching slow motion. Did it go out? Did it go out? Did it go out?
There was a little bit of this going on as well from some of the players, wasn't it? It was like, and they were all
Did
looking
you
along at the line.
handball?
Aye, exactly. But yeah, I mean, the goal stood, and it was a tidy finish by Longstaff as well. It was nice to see him just hit it first time on his left
Yeah,
with
yeah,
a really
exactly.
tidy finish after missing a few chances recently. That would have done his confidence a world of good.
I think that's
Um,
probably why he just hit it with his left rather than thinking about it. If it had been his other side, it might have been different. But you know, he's hit it with his wrong foot, and it's easy enough to do if you're a decent enough player. But yeah, it was good finish and poor defending by them for that. And then it wasn't long after that we got the second one.
Yeah, well, it was exactly 10 minutes afterwards. So
Yeah.
on 31 minutes, well, again, it's a little bit contentious on the build up to the corner for this one because I think it was a corner because Fabian Shaw does hit off his elbow, but he's got
Yeah,
his arm tucked in. There's not really anywhere else he can put his arm. If anything, he's trying to move his arm out of the way.
yeah, his arm was in, wasn't it? So
His arm was in.
yeah.
So, anyways, the corner was given, and if I'm a Sheffield fan, I'm probably going watch them score from this, and that's exactly what happened. A fantastic ball in
Yeah.
from Kieran Trippier, whose balls in all day were brilliant, but this one particularly puts it into the back post, and Dan Burn just absolutely bullied the defender. He's
He was
trying to
getting
rip his
pulled
shirt
all
off.
over, wasn't he? Yeah.
Tried to rip his shirt off, and Dan Burn just kept his eye on the ball, muscled him through 2-0. What were your feelings after that goal?
He was like, you know, when you see a kid taking a dog for a walk, and then the dog basically pelts it, and it's too big for the kid to control, and you see the kid trying to hang on and getting dragged behind. It was like that. It was like nothing was going to stop Dan Burn. It reminded me of Martin McDonald against Burnley years and years ago in the semi-final where the players trying to drag him down and wherever, and nothing was going to stop him. And I think just the strength and size of him, but the determination was brilliant and fantastic header at the end of the day as well with all of that going on. But again, defensively, they just let it come over. The keeper was nowhere, nobody covering. You know, I wasn't concerned. It's up to them if they want to defend poorly. But yeah, it was a great set piece, really. And we don't get many from corners, so that was really, really good. Yeah.
Well, that's what pleased me, Davey. Is it's a head from a corner, and I think that ball to the back post, or even sometimes just beyond the back post, where Dan Burn's area is when we look most dangerous. And whether it's a head back across goal or whether it's a header towards goal, if it's a bit closer in. So it was really satisfying to see that one pay off
Yeah.
and go exactly how they wanted it to. And it was another set piece as well. Now I've heard Sheffield United fans on social media and on a certain radio station having a bit of a whinge about the free kick for the third goal. I don't know
Oh
what they're on. I thought
he
it
followed
was.
through. Yeah, he
He's
followed
got the
through on
ball,
him.
but he's followed through, and if he's not just that, if his studs were up, he would have been off. He would have been off.
Yeah, I know. I know.
A yellow
He's lucky.
card seemed right.
Yeah. I think it was the right decision, but it was definitely a free kick. But he'd gone in hard just before that, got up and he dived in. You know, he was out of control. It was definitely a free kick. And what was Carragher on about? Carragher was saying it wasn't a very good free kick. Oh, it's not the best free kick, like, you know.
I didn't hear that. Well, I think he's
Yeah.
on the wind up. He's always having a little go,
Oh,
isn't he? I think he's been drinking whatever Alex Ferguson's been drinking because it was an absolutely brilliant bowling.
I know.
He had good
Beat the
whip on
first
it.
man straight over. Yeah, exactly.
And I think
spot on.
Botman was a really clever, good header from him because he's quite far out, and you've got to have some neck muscles to get the
Yeah,
whip on it and for it to have
just
enough to
glanced
go
it.
beyond the keeper. You see some people try glancing headers from that one, and the keeper will just collect easily. Not
Yeah,
this time. He put it in the perfect position, and
yeah.
it was his very first goal. And yeah, the Sheffield United fans were throwing the dummies, the teddy bears, the milk bottles onto the
Bottles.
pitch. So they were having a bit of a cry, but yeah, the response by Botman was just to give it the old finger point, which is
Yeah,
fantastic. great to
Oh,
see him
his
get
face
first
was
goal.
brilliant. You know, I mean, like Dan Burn when he scored was brilliant, but Botman when he got that one, you could see how pleased he was. It was just like watching a band scoring his first goal. You know, it was great. But and I've still got this thing in us. It's like it's not just from recent years. It's from years and years and years where I'm coming to half time 3-0 up, and I'm thinking might be all right for a draw here. You know, because that's like how we always used to be.
It's hard to shed that skin, isn't it?
But it didn't feel like that was the killer goal. But it was obviously, you know, because they were in total disarray. I think those 3 goals together, that it really knocked the stuffing out of them. But really, from that 15-minute sort of period, I thought we controlled the game anyway, and they didn't create anything. Like we said, without McBurney, they didn't really have an outlet. And their formation that they were playing, they started 3-5-2, but they were all over the shop. You know, they were mostly 5-4-1. That was the formation that they had, but they were leaving so many gaps in the middle of the park. And I just thought, you know, organisation-wise in that first half, from 20 minutes onwards, they were all over the shop. And the fact that we were passing the ball around and knocking it both sides and then coming back and then building. And I thought Bruno had a great game coming inside and, you know, doing all of those little link passes and all the runs off the ball. I thought Anderson and Longstaff were brilliant at doing that, you know. Trippier was fantastic as well, you know, but
well, what I thought was interesting, Davey, is we talked on the preview about whether it was going to be a bit of a battle and should Newcastle be drawn into the battle or should they try and sort of impose their sort of game. I think in that first half, there was a bit of both of that. I think the beginning of the first half, and maybe, you know, even after our first goal, and once Anthony Gordon came on, there was still a little bit of a battle, and we seemed to be winning that one in midfield.
Yeah.
Like you rightly say, in the middle of the park, all of a sudden, these gaps started coming up because they were trying to battle maybe that little bit too hard. And we did show our excellence on the balls, and they were giving away free kicks. They were putting it out of play, and it was interrupting their own rhythm that they'd kind of made up in the first 10 minutes. So I think that tactic went against them. Moving into the second half, I don't think that it was a battle at all. It was just us showing our absolute excellence.
It was like a training game. I mean, they came out, and they looked like they were going to play 4-3-3, but they actually played a diamond, so it was more like a 4-1 with 2, and then McAtee played in behind, and then they had 2 players up front, and they had brought Bogle off, I think, or whatever he's called, or Bogey, or whatever. Bogle, isn't it? So that, if it's played well, that formation, you know, you can find that player sitting in the hole almost like a false 9, you know, and you've got the 2 to sort of, you know, the triangles and that. They ended up, it was quite a slow start, I thought, the second half, and we didn't have to really do anything, but they started pushing their fullbacks forward, and it kind of went to like a 2-3-3-2, and they were looking to try and build from the back, but we just fought and ran, battled, you know, tracked back. I mean, there was players like Miggy. Miggy didn't seem to do a great deal going forward. He didn't have one of his better games going forward, but he kept coming back and nicking a foot in and getting the ball, and then we were able to start. And Wilson was basically there holding the ball up by himself, and everybody else suddenly was there. And we had so many options, and the gaps they left in behind was just ridiculous. And I mean, I've written down a number of different formations that they went into, and it wasn't really changing formation. It was the fact that they were all over the place. They just didn't seem to know where they were.
And I mean, it's interesting you talk about Miggy sort of cutting back and doing some of the dirty work, and
Yeah.
that I think that's one of the reasons why Trippier had such a good game, because it allowed him that license to get forward a
Exactly, yeah.
little bit more, and that shows from his 3 assists that he's got, and probably one of the nicest of which came for Wilson's goal. Wilson
Yeah.
scored on the 56th minute. Now Wilson could have had a couple, at least a brace, I think, until this point, and there was a
Yeah.
couple of times where I was frustrated with him,
And a
thinking,
penalty. And a penalty.
and a
It was a
penalty.
Stonewall penalty.
Was a Stonewall penalty.
And
On
Carragher again said, "Oh, he's made the right decision. He's kicked him and he hasn't got the ball, but it's the right decision."
it was lunacy, and I feel like it was a mercy decision that I felt,
Yeah,
which
I know.
shouldn't happen.
Shouldn't be. No.
Speaking of mercy things, they were joking about it, saying, "Oh, that they mightn't put any injury time on here and like show a
It's
bit of
wrong.
mercy." Well, it's wrong, because I thought the whole point was that so the fans don't get short changed of time that the ball's in play. And secondly, what if it comes down to the end of the season and
Yeah.
you miss out on a place by a goal? You know what I mean? When you're on top
Or
like that.
they stay up by a goal. Do you know what I
Exactly.
mean? It could come down to something like that. Yeah.
But that wasn't to be. But
Yeah.
going to the fourth goal, I thought it was a really, really nicely worked move.
It was lovely.
We'd been slinking the ball around. It found itself to Trippier, and just that little dink over the top. It wasn't too much weight on it.
Yeah.
It was just put in a perfect position for any striker to go, "Thank you very much."
Yeah.
Callum Wilson, having missed a couple of chances prior to that, made no mistake on that one. And I was really pleased he got that goal, actually, because you could see he was a bit frustrated with himself from the other misses. But I just thought it was a really, really nice footballing goal.
It was a fantastically worked goal, but there was something that I noticed, and it said a lot about the game. Gordon was in the box, and he had two of their defenders looking at him, and the defender who should have been on Wilson left Wilson by himself, and he had like 6 yards around him in space on the penalty spot, and I thought that was just criminal. And then he realised when the ball went out, it was too late, and he tried to get back, and Wilson was it was like a training thing. It was so bad. But the movement and everything and the passing for that goal was superb, and that was the real killer goal, because that was it. They were never going to come back from that. Yeah.
Well, that was the point where I thought to myself, hang on, this is going to be a lot here. And it was so satisfying, when we've had teams recently. I'm thinking of Liverpool, where we've had them by the short and curlies, and we've kind of let them go.
Yeah.
I think all of that frustration from that really came to the forefront, and Sheffield United got the brunt of that. They didn't hold back. They never ever stopped going, and you could tell. The more that sometimes when teams start getting in that position where they're scoring 5 or 6 or 7, like the celebrations can become a little bit more muted and be like, "Come on, let's be respectful." No, not with these guys. There was some frustration coming out, and Anthony Gordon, who was rightfully the player of the match. He was the man. He had just previously missed one, which the goalkeeper saved, and Miggy had put in, which was offside. So when he cut inside on I think it was the 61st minute, when he cut inside, he was always going to shoot. You could tell he wanted his goal, and what a lovely finish into the bottom right-hand corner.
It was.
And the way he celebrated it as well. And what I liked about this as well, I noticed this because he was kissing his badge.
Yeah.
And he never changed his ripped shirt. And I thought that was really symbolic of the type of performance he put in up to there. He was really, really at war with them, and he put them to the sword.
Oh, I thought he had a tremendous game, and that I think his goal capped it off. Really, the brilliant finish. But you can see where he's going to go. He does the same on that side that Miggy does on the right hand side. The difference with Gordon is he can go outside and he can play it with both feet, and that's where teams, and they're both quick as anything, but Gordon is lightning fast, and I think it's more difficult for defenders against him than against Miggy, because they expect Miggy to do one thing and he normally tries to do it and cut back, whereas he can go either way, both feet, and when you're running at defenders like that, it's one of the hardest things, he was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I was really pleased for him.
I thought his goal was really Harvey Barnes-esque, actually. The way he
Yeah,
sort of cut in onto
yeah,
his right foot and played that shot across the goalkeeper is, in my opinion, probably what Harvey Barnes is best at. So,
yeah,
ironically, so that's probably what they would have been looking for from Harvey Barnes. But like you
yeah,
rightly say as well, you get both elements from Anthony Gordon. You can
yeah.
either take it on the outside and try to get a ball in from the byline. You can take players on, or you can cut inside as well and get the shot away.
Yeah, yeah.
And for me, he's really stepping up to the mark and showing why we spent that money on him.
Oh, yeah,
I've
definitely. He
always
looks
said,
a real player, like.
go back and watch the videos, everybody. When he was going through his bad spell, I said he would
Yeah,
come good. I'm not the only one. I think a lot of people probably said that.
yeah.
But it's fantastic. It's fantastic to see that he's really starting to show his worth, and it just shows what a good manager can do to a player with potential. Makes it
Oh,
exciting
yeah,
for the other players that
yeah,
we've signed as well.
yeah,
But yeah,
definitely.
we weren't to be done then. We weren't to be done then. Far from it, in fact. For the sixth goal, the ball through, I think it was was it Bruno Gamara's played through to Almiron? Could have drove a
Yeah,
bus through there. So easy for Almiron just to run onto the ball. Massive gap in there, but hits it really tidy finish again,
yeah.
and he looked made up to his first goal of the season.
Well,
So
he started the move, didn't he? And he played the ball into Bruno, and he kind of ran round him, and then just went woof straight through the middle. Brilliant pass by Bruno. The weight, everything, superb and lovely finish. And yeah, his first goal and confidence again. It's great. He's got a goal, and there's a few people have been knocking him, and yeah, he's a cracking little player, and he gives 100%. Like you say, he didn't shine going forward the way some of the others did, but he did a lot of that work coming back that often goes unnoticed. But yeah, I was over the moon for him, and you could see how pleased he was.
he was, and I think everybody was pleased for him, fans and teammates alike. I mean, everybody knows he's got that infectious smile.
Yeah,
Everybody wants him to do well. He's just such a likable lad, and whenever he gets
yeah,
on the score sheet, I'm made up. You
yeah,
know, I agree. There's probably a step up at some stage needed, but for the time being, if we can get the best out of Miggy, sometimes he can do like really magical things with the football. And when he gets
yeah,
his
yeah,
scoring boots on, he goes on runs. So hopefully this can be the start of a little purple patch again for Miggy Almiron, because he's
yeah,
definitely a confidence player, and hopefully that goal to open up his account this season will be the
yeah,
boost of confidence he needs for the
yeah.
games going forward.
Was that when we started making substitutions around that point?
It was around about that time. So on the 70th minute, we took off Wilson, we took off Almiron, and we took off Trippier.
Yeah,
Replacing them was Alexander Isak, Sandro Tonali, and it was great to see Tino Livramento coming on as well,
yeah,
who I think just slid straight in.
yeah, yeah.
Just didn't see any issues from him whatsoever.
He made a
And
great interception when they had two players coming forward, and there was one on an overload, and he just read it really well. He'd come back and joined that the other defenders, and he just stepped in and made it look so easy. But they were tired, and they just didn't seem bothered by then. And I thought their manager, Heckenbottom, he's going to be furious with them when he goes over the game with them, because the heads just went, and they just didn't seem bothered at all. That was the thing. Whereas we just kept going, and we just kept fighting, and it was like we definitely wanted a clean sheet. So players were running, chasing back, and making sure that that was never going to be the case. They had a couple of little opportunities, but nothing that really threatened. But they
well,
just looked.
a lot of
Well,
times in these situations when you're 6-0 up and the team that's in the ascendancy makes a substitution on 70 minutes, if you're the team that's 6-0 down, you're looking and saying, oh, well, hopefully, it's going to be some young ones and it might give you a bit of respite. Then you look across and you've got a young, hungry Tino Livramento who's fighting for his place in the team.
yeah,
Champions League Champions League semi-finalist is
yeah,
in Sandro Tonali, and a
yeah,
£65 million Swedish international striker coming on, you must be thinking,
Yeah.
right, no, it's time for another wave. And it only took 3 minutes, another 3 minutes, and they were at it again. It was a shot that was blocked, bobbled about a little bit, found itself at the feet of Bruno Guimaraes. Tidy little finish, and again,
Yeah.
it's really great to see him getting on the score sheet as well.
It was, and I think his celebration was, it spoke volumes really about all the things about his new contract. And I was a little bit sort of thinking, the 100 million clause. I thought there's plenty of teams would maybe like to pay that in January and get him. So it's a bit of a strange one.
There is that, but if you look at it from a business perspective as well, if that did happen, £100 million for a player you've just recently paid 30 million for, in would help us in FFP, so it wouldn't be the end of the world. I'd personally be devastated if that happened.
I'd love to keep him. I'd love to keep him.
And although there's a buyout clause there, I think it would for him personally would depend on who that team was. If it was a Real Madrid that came in and offered 100 million, he would
possibly.
go. If it was a Chelsea, Liverpool, I'm not so sure. I think he's quite settled where he is. I think that would only be there if one of the big boys come in for him.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried too much. And I mean, most players have release clauses. They reckon it's just slightly north of 100 million. So that's obviously just what the club rate him at. That's what they see him as, and that obviously means tell suitors, listen, if you want this player, you're gonna have to go big. I'm not sure if many teams would want to pay 100 million just yet.
Yeah. There was another thing that happened around that time, just before that goal, because Gordon was moved out to fill where Miggy had been, and Anderson was moved more out to the left where Gordon had been, and Livramento, he started further forward rather than in the 4, and they went to a back 3. So Tonali and Bruno and Longstaff with Livramento, that was like a 4, so 3-4-3, and then it changed again because then Lewis Hall came on, and I mean, he wasn't on the pitch for very long, but he got his start, which I'm pleased about. So he's obviously fit enough to get on there. And I just remember when we played Chelsea at the end of the season, he was their best player.
He was. I said that when we did the review of that game. I'd said that he was their best player, and I was really pleased when he came on actually, because well. I'm going to save the reason why for the second half of the video. But yeah, they weren't even done then.
Yeah,
not satisfied with 7. I think the person that rounded it off, I think if anybody had a choice and said, if you can get one more person to score, who's it going to be? They would have picked this man, because I think his confidence needs a goal. And Alexander Isaac, he on the back of a poor header from their defence, picked it up straight away. Lovely little touch, sent the defender to the shops, sliding into oblivion, never to be seen again. And then he just did a really tidy finish. And yeah, I was really pleased for him, because I felt like he's probably needed that goal to go. Actually, I'm feeling the confidence coming back, and confidence being the word to take away from this. It's well documented that it's the first time in Premier League history, I think, that 8 different scorers have gotten on the score sheet, which is just what you want from a team.
Exactly.
Confidence. It's what you want.
It was brilliant.
Confidence throughout the team.
There was something about his goal that I thought just oozed different class, though, because the ball came in. I think it came in from Livramento, and it came quite hard, quite fast. And I think he tried to control it, but it hit him in the top of his shin and it bounced up. Now, as it bounced up, he looked initially to go for the ball, but he knew that he wasn't going to get it. And I think Gordon was coming towards it as well from behind the player. Now, I watched it again and again and again, right? But to see if this was exactly what he did. And it's just brilliant. It's in this, honestly, just like that, in split second, he goes immediately to go for the ball, and then he sees the shape of the player, and he takes one step forward, and then if you see him, he angles into the gap. He gambles because he sees the player is going to try and head it, and he's only going to head it one way. So he basically changes the angle of his run and thinking, I'm not going to get the ball there. I'm going to gamble into the space to where I think he's going to head it. And he just darts his run, and then he's away the other side, and he's in. And then, as you say, the composure for the finish, I think he's watched Minter playing for Feyenoord and getting it from him. But it was that little instinctive change of direction where he thought, that's where I think the ball is going to go. I'm going to head there. I'm not going to just go like everybody else will do and try and battle for the ball. I'm gambling that it's going to go there. And it was brilliant. That instinct to do that is different class. Do you know what I mean? And that made the goal. That was my favorite goal of all of the goals because of that. And it showed his world class. And yet, you know, he's not been as good as we would have liked, and he's, you know, some of his touches are not being great, and he's not been scoring the goals thus far. But it's early, it's still early on in the season. That little movement, honestly, it was, watch it again. It's world class, absolutely brilliant. That's the difference between a decent striker and a world class striker.
You're exactly right. You took the words out of my mouth. And what you're talking about there is what separates good footballers from the proper footballers.
Oh,
you look at you know, and those type of players have longer careers as well, because they're not necessarily all dependent on the pace. Now, for strikers, one of the first things to go, as you know, he's got a lot of time ahead of him, but as his career does go on, because he's got that type of football and brain, he'll have a long career, a long successful career as a striker.
It's the kind of thing. Sorry, Kev. It's the kind of thing that Beardsley would have done. Do you know what I mean? Like, where his mind thinks in a different way when it comes to football, and that, you know, there's players like that. They're just different class. You know, they're
Teddy
not just
Sheringham was like that. Whenever I think
he
of
was
like
really clever,
like chess players who, you know, exactly that little bit of motion you're talking about. He'd be able to read the game and make those sort of gambles that you were talking about.
But
and those
doing
players,
it in a split second, that's the difference, and that's why that was not because it was the 8th goal and not because it was Isak. It was fantastic for those reasons. But if you watch it again and watch it and see his movement, it was just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
It was brilliant all round. It's not often I see a 5-star performance, but it was a 5-star performance. It really, really was. Now, a lot of the noise that's been coming out afterwards is bad day at the office. It's a freak result. And when they say a freak result, you don't win 8-0 all the time, but it's not a freak result. I mean, you know, we put 5 past Aston Villa, we put 5 past West Ham, we've put 5 past Brentford, we put 5 past Fulham. We're now getting to a stage that when we're on our day,
Spurs
put 6 past Spurs. Right? Exactly. How could I forget the main one? But it's now becoming a thing for Newcastle United that when they do get these days and they're on song, they're not just winning, they're steamrolling teams. They're absolutely steamrolling team. And when we get that consistency, we're going to be up challenging with Man City within the next year or two. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind, because I know Leicester did the number on Southampton and did the won a 9-0, and it's happened a couple of times, but this just feels different. This doesn't feel like a freak one-off result. I'm not saying we're going to go on and win other games 8-0, but I can see we're stuffing a lot of teams. And if I'm Burnley looking a little bit ahead next weekend, I'm looking at that result and going, shit. Oh, shit.
Yeah. I mean, we both were talking last week about it, and I said I thought the goals would come from midfield rather than the forward line, because there was a chance that it could be a real battle. And you know, we did say that it could end up being one of those 0-0s, but I didn't think it was going to be a boring 0-0. It was, where we would be trying to break them down. And, if we got an opportunity in a goal, then I thought that was it. And we both said, I just said 2-0, you were 3-0. But there were people saying, oh, God, Newcastle and Sheffield United on the telly on Sunday afternoon, who's put that on? And, do we have to watch this? And I just thought it was really bad, the way some people were going on about it. And 8 goals. It was just fantastic. And I honestly thought after that, when the 8th goal went in, it seemed like we did sort of ease off. I was thinking, keep going for it, keep going.
I wanted to break the record.
Yeah, I think we did ease off a little bit, and I think they might have been thinking, yeah, let's just keep a clean sheet, keep the ball, let them run for it. We've got a game on Wednesday against Man City, so it was. I think that kind of might have come into their heads a little bit, and but yeah, it was brilliant.
What you were talking about there, I've talked about before, and I don't mind it when people look and say, "Oh, Newcastle on the telly against Sheffield United." What that tells me is that team and other fans and pundits and teams are underestimating we, and that's when we get our best results. Yeah. When people look at it and go, "Oh, they're winning," I've got no doubt that Sheffield United fans probably came into that game, and I'm not saying this is the players, but possibly looking at the Newcastle saying it's a good time to play them this. They've just been away travelling to the San Siro. They only scraped a 1-0 win against Brentford. They had 3 defeats on the back. As soon as you start underestimating that Newcastle United team, they punish you. They absolutely punish you. If you want anything against Newcastle United, you've got to be on the top of your game. You have to be on the top of your game. And I look at the games where we did get defeats. The Liverpool one, you can't deny that, they had to be on the top of the game to get something from that. Brighton looked really good in Man City on Man City. Now, if you're not on the top of your game, you're going to get 4 or 5 put past you. So I don't mind it. I don't mind people saying, like, sort of underestimating what this result is. In fact, I implore it. I like it because it means that people aren't seeing as a threat just yet, and they give it that extra space.
I honestly, I did think about it, and I honestly wondered whether the awful death of Maddie Cusack, the 27-year-old Sheffield United player, who also worked behind the scenes at the club, for the club as a whole. So she was well known, and there was, all the things beforehand. I think I forget his name now, but there was ex-players and different things going on, and the black armbands, and that might have been in the back of those players' minds,
Possibly,
but then you think, but once the whistle goes, you kind of go for it, and it's it's an awful situation. It's a terrible thing to have happened, but horrible. It's not an excuse there. I think they would give. I did think about whether it played on their minds as the game went on when they just collapsed, but
quite coincidentally as well, I hadn't realised this. I mean, it's neither here nor there, but she played at number 8. Obviously, there was a clap on 8 minutes. Newcastle scored 8 goals, 8 different scorers, and it put up to 8th place in the league. Just the number 8 just seemed to be surrounding that game for some reason. But tragic news that came out about her. So obviously the channel's thoughts with her friends and families.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Anyways, I'm getting a little bit conscious of time. I could talk about that game for the next 3 hours, but we are going to have a little bit of a mention of the of the Man City game. So because I am superstitious, and we need to get him out again, he's coming out again.
Okay, let's go.
I'm waiting for them 3 birds at the back doing something, and they're just not in it at all. I don't know. He needs to get his act together. I don't know.
So we'll have to be quick on this one, but it's a bit of a funny one, this, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's almost a hard one to preview. It's a cup game on a Wednesday night. I think it's fair to say that I know Eddie Howe probably wouldn't say this, but I think if we're being honest, I think it's probably the competition that people are least worried about. From our perspective, we've got a lot of games with the Champions League. I think that they definitely put the FA Cup ahead of this. If this had been an FA Cup game, maybe a little bit more attention might have been on it. But I don't know about you, Davey, but I've got a feeling that both teams are probably going to heavily rotate in this game. What's your
Yeah,
thought?
I think you're right. I've picked two teams, but I honestly haven't got a clue who's going to play, for the reasons you've just said. And you know, Man City, you've got a lot of injuries, and we've got a few players out as well. So I think there's going to be quite a bit of rotation there. But I think at the end of the day, you want to win everything that you're in for. So they're not just going to, you know, but I don't want to lose. But if we did lose and we lose against Man City, I'm not going to be devastated and think, oh, you know, we're out at the first round that we're playing in. But it'd be great if we win. Be great if we win.
Yeah.
But,
I mean,
you know,
strangely, and I hate this term really normally for reasons you've just said there, but it kind of is a bit of a free hit. I mean, I know we're at home, which I think in this particular game will be an advantage.
yeah,
But you know, I think you know a heavily rotated Man City team probably is a lot better than a heavily rotated
yeah,
Newcastle United team. Having said that, it's a cup game. It's on a Wednesday night. It is at home, and it will be a full house as well because
yeah,
tickets are like gold dust these days. And
yeah,
anybody
yeah,
who wasn't on the ticket scheme, those tickets would have went like that.
yeah,
So I'm interested. Have you maybe had a little thought of how either
yeah.
side might line up?
I've got two teams, and the thing with Man City is they've played the last two games with two goalkeepers on the bench because they didn't have enough outfield players. And I kind of thought, has he not got any young kids that he's going to bring through? But then he's got lots of them that play in any case. You know what I mean? So this is what I've gone for. Again, I'm guessing. Absolute total guess. I think you'll play Ortega, but then there's another keeper that's there as well. There's I forget his name now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I think he'll play Ortega in goal. I think he'll give somebody else a shot in goal. The two centre backs, I've got a feeling he's going to play Ake and Akanji. Ake came on. You know, he can play centre half. He can play on the full back as well. I've gone for a four at the back. This is what we might change it. You might play three, and I think he'll play Walker as well. But then that leads to the possibility that they could play three. Now there's a young lad called Lewis who I think might get a shot at full back, and I think he'll play Phillips in the middle. And there's a guy I've never seen him, but he's called Bob. Bobb, and he's a midfielder. I don't know anything about him. I'm literally just looking at who they've got available and who plays where. And there was it Nunes is available, I think, but I thought he's gonna have to rest players because they've got so many players out. But I think he'll play Foden, Alvarez and Gomez. I think he'll keep Grealish aside. He's just come back from a knock, so I wasn't sure whether he would start. And there's the Spanish lad Gomez, Sergio Gomez. I think he might play, and I don't think he'll play Haaland. I think he'll be on the bench. And there's a striker called Doku. I think he'll give him a go. But I'm just guessing. I'm just like, it's like pin the tail on donkey. I haven't got a clue really.
And yeah, I mean, I'll take your word on most of them. There's a couple of those I hadn't heard of before, especially Bob. But if it is going our way, they will have those big guns on the bench to bring on if need be. And I think that'll be the same way for Eddie Howe, depending on the scoreline. If we are getting beat at 1-0, I think he is going to heavily rotate it. But I also think he'll keep some of the big guns for just in cases on the bench.
Well, I think. Sorry, go on. What were you going to say?
No, that's all right. I was going to say, so we've got a few minutes left. I'm dying to know what your tune team is.
Right. I've gone Dubravka in goal, and I think he might rest Shea, and I've gone Lascelles and Botman in the middle. but because they both came on, I think he'll play Livramento and Hall. So that'll be a 4. And then I've got a sneaking feeling he's going to play Lewis Miley in the middle. I think he's going to give him a go. And then Tonali and Anderson either side of him. And then I've gone Isak up front. And I've gone Murphy to play on the left because he can play left or right. And I've got a feeling he might play Richie. And give a few players a rest. I think Gordon needs a little bit of a rest coming up to the weekend. You don't want any injuries. And like you say, you've got players there that can come on. I've just got a feeling Miley might get a shout on Wednesday night, and it'd be great for him if he does, And if he has, I just think he's class, just oozes class. So that's what I've gone for.
That's not a bad shout with Richie. Actually, I sometimes forget about Richie. He hasn't really played much football over the last season or so. But when he has come on, he's one of the players that he's got a place in my heart. Richie. He's when he was having a bit more predominant figure in the team. He used to kick every ball even from the sideline. You see him, he's moving like that, and I wouldn't mind seeing Richie playing. I'm moving this on quickly, but I'm going to be honest. What do I do? Because I'm going to let you go first when it comes to score prediction, because I'm still deciding whether to go with my head or my heart. So I'm interested to see what your score prediction is.
I kept chopping and changing, and I kept thinking we could win 2-1, but I'm actually going to. I think it could go to penalties. I think it'll be 1-1. I've just got a feeling it's going to go to penalties and it'll come down to that. But it depends on the changes. It's one of them. You cannot really, you just don't know. You just don't know.
I feel it could be any result, and it's going to be. I think I'll have a better idea of what the result will be when I do see the team lineups an hour before kickoff. But we're not an hour before kickoff. We're a couple of days before. Now, if I'm being entirely honest, my head's saying we might get beat 2-1. My heart is saying we could win 2-1.
Yeah,
I think you could be right. I think this could be a one that could go to penalties, which kind of falls into that narrative I've just put forward. Probably could be any result.
Yeah.
So
on my Super 6, I've gone for us to win 2-1 on the Super 6, but I've got a feeling it's going to be a draw. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I can't go with my head, because that would just make us a shit presenter of the Newcastle United channel if I was saying that we're going to get beat. So I'm going with my heart. I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to go a brace for Isaac. There we go.
Right, champion. I'm going to go 2-1 as well. Again, the same reason as yourself, and I think Isak, and I'm going to say Murphy.
Good shout.
Isak and Murphy, yeah. But again, it could be anybody. We haven't got a clue of who's going to play, and he might even play 3 at the back. He might totally change the formation. You just don't know.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. Are you going, Davy? Are you?
Yeah. I would have went yesterday if I had that one earmarked as a definite one to go, and then the memorial thing happened, and it was something I couldn't get out of. I wanted to go to that as well. So, but yeah, I've just downloaded my ticket before this started, so I had to phone up for help because I haven't got a clue.
Just while you're reminded this, because I need to download mine as well. Well, we'll be back in between that game and also the game on Burnley, where we'll have a little look back at the cup game, hopefully with a pleasing result, and we'll take a little preview of the Burnley game as well. If you've gotten this far, thank you very much, and if you have, give the video a like. Why not hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done? Share it with like-minded people. And again, it's still open season on the tooth comments down below. So if you want to rip us, get stuck in there.
My mates as well. I've got mates of mine who watch it, and then they send me messages by text and things like that. Don't send me messages. Message on here. I can answer on here as well.
Helps the algorithm. And I've been speaking to Sai as well. He's going to jump on a video soon. He's missing being on the channel. got lots going on with work and other things. So, Si, we're thinking about you. Always in all the pies legend.
I got a message. I got a message yesterday saying like, "Oh, Si's gonna have trouble getting back on his own podcast because they're saying that they like us too." And I says, "Si who?"
Aye. Well, that's it. We'll vote him out, Davy. We'll vote him out. That's it. 2-1 now, isn't it? Well, that's it from us, and we'll be back before the next game. So until the next time, come on.
How well, lads.